I hate to do this to you today, folks, but I got two of the most unsavory, unpleasant topics in the world to talk about. One is war, and the other is about as bad. Hillary Clinton. Stay tuned. Hey, for the best meat you have ever eaten, check out samsbutchershop.com. Go and shop around. When you go to checkout, enter the promo code Triple T for a 5% discount. Check it out. And a good Monday to you all, everybody. Trailer Trash Tim here. How's your mom and them? I'm so glad that you've come and joined me today. I hope you had a great weekend. I hope you were able to join us. A lot of you for our live stream yesterday. We did it on Sunday. If you didn't get a chance to see it, if you look under the live tab down below, you can see what we did yesterday. We'll maybe do another one this coming Sunday. I don't know. If you didn't get a chance to watch the Playhouse on Saturday, that's worth a watch. I hope you enjoyed that if you watched it. But we're back to another week, and of course we are loaded for bear. There's a couple of things I want to talk about on this Monday, and neither of them is pleasant. Obviously, the headline where you live, I would suspect, the dominant headline is the war that has broken out in Israel. So it's something we need to talk about, and I want to give you my thoughts about it. My feelings about the war may surprise you. They may not. I don't know. But it is most unfortunate. I am anti-war. I hate war. I do not want to be involved in war. I believe every nation has every right to defend its border. But I believe that war is a last resort proposition, and it is never justified unless, in my opinion, unless it is a defensive measure. America's being invaded as we speak, and of course we're not doing anything about it. We have a legitimate reason to respond to the daily invasion on our southern border, which the president has turned a blind eye to because he's happy with it. Of course, he wants this to be happening so that he can fundamentally transform the electorate, and specifically the electoral college in the state of Texas. Because if the Democrats capture Texas, it's over. It's over. It's as simple as that, and he knows it, and that's what he's doing. It is treasonous. It is reckless. It's irresponsible, and it is unthinkable what this man is doing to our nation. But I believe that war should be the last resort of any nation, and I believe that the United States specifically, and you could probably throw in the UK with this, or NATO if you will, we have sort of adopted this Bush doctrine. We were told after 9/11, it was just drilled into every American's head that we've got to go and invade Iraq or this country or that country because there may be some bad actors in this country, so we've got to go attack them, before they have a chance to attack us. That was the thinking, and at the time I bought into it. Well, yeah, I guess it makes sense. Well, no, it doesn't make sense. War should be a defensive mechanism. It is legitimate. There are valid uses of war, but they should be rare. And they should also be decisive. We should never again have a Vietnam. We shouldn't have been there anyway. But, if you have to fight a war, fight the war, win the war, end the war. That's how these things are done. But what's happening now in the Middle East is completely dreadful. And I think it's horrific. There's been a horrific loss of life. And it's very sad. It is very tragic. And I don't see it getting any better anytime soon, unfortunately. But this is what I want to say about this conflict that has broken out between Israel and Hamas and possible other groups over in that hotbed, that hot region of the world that's been in a kind of a state of war for decades, really. That's just how it is. But this is what I want you to imagine. I want you to imagine for a moment that you live in your home, and across the street from where you live are two neighbors, one that's kind of to your right and another that's kind of to your left. You can look out your front deck or your front porch and you can see both neighbors. And you've got the Johnsons over here and you've got the Smiths over here. And the Johnsons and the Smiths, or if you prefer the Hatfields and the McCoys, they don't like each other. They don't get along at all. They've got a dispute maybe over their property line or something, and they just are always at odds with one another. There's been a time or two when the police have even been called out to settle a dispute between them, and maybe they've been in court with suits against each other. I don't know. Whatever the case may be, this is just a hypothetical, but I say this to make a point. But you live in your house across the street, and you see what's going on between the Johnsons and Smiths or Hatfields and McCoys. Now, what should you do as a good neighbor with regard to the Hatfields and the McCoys? What should you do? Well, you've got, I guess, one of three options. You can either pick a side and go to war with the other side, then it'd be 2-on-1. Or you could try and play peacemaker, maybe have a cookout one night and grill some steaks and have maybe the adults from the family come and eat with you, and maybe you could sit down and have a couple of drinks and maybe try and serve as a peacemaker and try and get them to resolve their differences. There's nothing wrong with that if that's a possibility. Your third option is just to leave them alone and let them fight out their own battle and you just not get involved. And I think there's merit to that approach as well. And this is sort of my feeling on the war, the Middle Eastern war between Israel and Hamas, or Israel and Hezbollah, or Israel and anybody else for that matter, the Palestinians. The United States and NATO typically cannot resist taking a side and getting involved in conflicts like this. We just have to get involved somehow. My thinking is simply this. This is a war right now specifically between Israel and Hamas. My thinking is we let it stay between Israel and Hamas. In other words, we just let them tend to their own affairs while we watch from afar. If it somehow makes its way over to our borders, then we would deal with it. This assumes you got a president, Trailer Trash Tim, right? It's much the same attitude I have toward the Ukrainian war in Russia. Instead of us getting involved and draining our resources and using our military equipment and our ammunition and our personnel, we just simply let them fight it out until there's a winner, until there's a last man standing. Until you can make the case that it is in the vital national interest of the United States to get involved, the best policy, in my mind, is to simply stay out of it, thus saving your equipment, saving your money, and saving potentially innocent lives, American lives, British lives, Canadian lives. And this should be, in my opinion, our approach towards this dreadful war between Israel and Hamas. It's a terrible thing, and there are people who are on the side of Israel. I understand that. And believe you me, I could make a really comprehensive video on why so many Americans support Israel, but that's another story for another day. I don't want to get bogged down on this thing. Conversely, there are many Americans who support the Palestinians, who are usually in conflict with Israel. And then embedded in all this mixture, you've got groups like Hamas and Hezbollah and the PLO and on and on it goes. A lot of different militant Muslim groups. You know, on the one hand, you've got a lot of Jewish people. On the other hand, you've got a lot of Muslims. And they don't always get along too well. And then somewhere in that region of the world, you've got Christians who are sort of caught up in the crossfire. And it's unfortunate. It's really sad. But the problem, as I see it, is simply exacerbated when other foreign entities stick their nose in where it does not belong. Now, let me say this. I don't have a problem with an ambassador or a statesman of some kind from a neutral nation, perhaps, trying to play the role of peacemaker. I don't have a problem with that per se. Blessed are the peacemakers, right? I mean, if there's someone that can help to facilitate a ceasefire and bring an end to the hostilities, I'm all for that. I'm not talking about that. That's fine. I'm talking about other nations that are not direct, do not have a direct interest in the conflict, to simply stay out of it. And I maintain America does not have an interest. Our government will certainly tell you otherwise, and we all know what our government's going to say and going to do. But it just exacerbates the situation, and I contend we would be better off in the Middle East, in Ukraine, in all of these hot spots around the world, in all of these geographical hot spots, if we would simply mind our own business and stay out of it. We don't have the money to get involved in these things, folks. We've got our own problems anyway. Now, the other point that I want to make about this is this, and I hope everybody will really take this to heart. Right now, the war between Israel and Hamas is center stage, and all the banner headlines are proclaiming everything you want to know about the war. The Western mainstream media is filling your eyes and your ears and your head with their version of what's happening in this war between Israel and Hamas. Are they telling us the truth? Well, they have a record of lying, so I'll contend you need to take all this with a grain of salt. I don't dispute there's a war, but, lies are never more abundant, ladies and gentlemen, than in a time of war. I will tell you that emphatically. Lies are never more abundant and plentiful and plenteous than at a time of war, as we saw in Ukraine, as we see in Ukraine. So I realize this is at the top of the headlines. I realize if you turn on cable news, it dominates the news cycle right now. Remember, I did a video the other day telling you that 6 corporations control 90% of our news, which is really not news per se. It is a slick, coordinated production. It's like a sales presentation almost by pretty talking heads that are all basically saying the same thing, but they control the content in true Soviet style. So you have to dig for the truth. You have to dig for the real news. But this is the point I want to make. Although the headlines are being dominated by what's happening in Israel right now, I want to maintain and I want to encourage you to consider keeping your eye on the ball, keeping your mind tuned in. If you are a Westerner, if you are in particular an American or a Canadian, or even if you're in Germany or France, because you're having the same problem of what I'm going to mention here in just a moment, our headline is not what's going on in Israel between Israel and Hamas, folks. We must remember our headline, number one, is our own border. If you want to talk about war, then let's stay focused on the war that is affecting every American, and that is the invasion on our southern border. That's our war. That's the one that does pertain to us. That is one that does have everything to do with the safety and security of every American, everybody in France, because it's happening in France, it's happening in Germany, it's happening in the UK, it's happening in Canada. We are literally being invaded by bad actors on a daily invasion. It's not just the Rio Grande River. It's not just South Texas. It is Germany. It is France. It is the UK. It is Canada. It's happening all over the West. That is the banner headline right there. Not what's happening in Israel and Palestine. Let Israel and Palestine work out their problems. I realize that the losses are heavy, but we are facing a daily invasion that we've got to contend with, and we have to stay focused on our headlines, and that's what it is. That's number one. The second headline I contend we've got to stay focused on is the Biden crime family, with specifically with what's happening with the Ukraine corruption. We are being lied to on a daily basis. We are having billions and billions of taxpayer dollars sent to Ukraine, thanks to the Uniparty, thanks to Joe Biden, to fund an effort in Ukraine to aid and to benefit these. These people are being aided and benefited by American taxpayers, whether they want to do it or not. That's what's going on. This is who Putin is fighting against. Make no mistake about that. Another headline that we must keep focused on is violence in our cities. It is a daily occurrence. New York, Chicago, Minneapolis, St. Louis, San Francisco, Birmingham, Atlanta, and on and on and on it goes. New York, incredible. Philadelphia, incredible violence in our cities where the innocent are losing their lives because of unhinged gang members and thugs walking the streets wearing hoodies, walking up to random people in subways or on the street and just blowing their brains out for no reason whatsoever other than just to rob them, maybe get their iPad or their iOS or what have you. Violence in our cities is epidemic, and it is a headline that we have got to stay focused on. And of course, another thing that is in our headlines, or should be, is the debt in our economy, which is absolutely going in the toilet. Our debt is skyrocketing. Our national debt is now over $33 trillion with unfunded liabilities. It is over $220 trillion. We're broke, and our economy is in the tank, thanks to Joe Biden and the Uniparty. Folks, these are the headlines, and these are what we should be focused on if we are in the West, not Israel and Hamas. Let me move on quickly to another unpleasant chapter in today's show, and that would be Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton gave an interview over the weekend with world reporter Christiane Amanpour. She's a world-class reporter, don't you know, an international jet-setting reporter. And she was interviewing Hillary Rodham Clinton about all kinds of different things. And I don't want to go deep into the interview, but there was one segment of the interview where Hillary said something I'm going to read to you, and I hope that you caught this, and if you haven't, I want you to listen to what Hillary said. The question that Christiane Amanpour asked her is not all that important, but the answer that Hillary gave is, this is what Hillary said. Listen to this, and I quote, We had very bitter battles over all kinds of things." She's talking about the campaign between her and Trump. "Gun control, climate change, the economy, taxes. But there wasn't this little tale of extreme, I can't read my own writing again, extremist, you know, the wagging the dog of the Republican Party as it is today. And sadly, so many of these extremists, these MAGA extremists, take their marching orders from Donald Trump, who has no credibility left by any measure. He's only in it for himself. He's defending himself in civil actions and criminal actions. And when do they break with him? You know, because at some point, you know, maybe there needs to be a formal deprogramming of the cult members. But something needs to happen. Wow. So Hillary thinks that the MAGA crowd are cult members. Not only that, but the MAGA crowd are cult members who need to be deprogrammed, don't you know? like we follow Jim Jones or I don't know, name a cult member. We all need to be deprogrammed because we followed Donald Trump and now we're just robotic and we don't really have a mind of our own anymore because we're MAGA and we're cult members and we take our marching orders from Donald Trump, who has no credibility whatsoever, of course. Isn't that rich? Hillary Clinton saying that somebody else doesn't have credibility. Hello? Well, I guess you would know, wouldn't you there, Hillary? So we are MAGA extremists. If you support Donald Trump, you are a MAGA extremist. I wasn't all that big of a Trump fan, but brother, running against Hillary, I'd be a fan of anybody. Just so happened to be Donald Trump, but yeah, you better count me in. If it's you against Trump, yeah, you better believe it. I'm in. I'm in the cult. But she calls us extremists and says that we have no credibility by any measure. He's only in it for himself. Well, what are you in it for, Hillary? Just the good of the American people? Please. He's defending himself in civil actions and criminal actions. Well, of course he's defending himself, Hillary. What's he supposed to do? Just lay back and take it? It's not a crime to be charged with something. He's been charged with something, but none of these frivolous charges have been proven against him, nor will they be. But it's important that you mention that he's been charged, don't you know? But when do we break with him? Because at some point there's got to be a formal deprogramming of the cult members. But something needs to happen. You know what you call this? You call this confession through projection. Confession through projection. She is accusing Trump of the very thing she is actually guilty of. If you want to call MAGA people cult members, believe me, sister, we could call anybody who would vote for a woman like you a cult member, because Lord knows they ain't using their brains. Lord knows they're acting like a robot if they're going to vote for Hillary Clinton. But I got a couple of questions for you. Hillary says that the MAGA cult members are extremists. Hillary, can I ask you a question? I'd give anything if you could watch this video because I would love for you to answer this question. Where is the extremism? You call MAGA members, MAGA supporters, Make America Great Again, like there's something bad about that. Oh, you want to make America great again. Oh, that's terrible. Is it really? We're cult members. We're extremists. What's extreme about that? What's extreme about a person who wants to make America great again? Can you tell me? I mean, I know the standard line. Anybody who would support Donald Trump has got to be racist, bigots, misogynists, homophobes, you name it. We hate women. You hate puppy dogs. I mean, whatever it is. Where is the extremism, really? Where is it? Please, Hillary, explain to me. Where is the extremism of the MAGA people? The people who vote for Trump, who are not mind-numb robots, as ye suppose, who are not cult members. We are free-thinking people. We are people who value liberty and goodness and law-abiding citizens. What's extreme about that? Let me tell you who MAGA is. Are you ready for this? MAGA people are people who work jobs. MAGA people are people who pay their taxes. MAGA people are people who take care of their families. They raise families and they take care of their families. They take care of their business. MAGA people are people who play by the rules. MAGA people who are people who go to Trump rallies by the tens and tens of thousands and they leave the place unlittered. MAGA people are people who expect the government to follow the Constitution. That's all we ask. MAGA people are people who attend religious services on a regular basis. MAGA people are people who go hunting because they own, oh, maybe you're on something, Hillary. MAGA people are just simple, everyday, hardworking American people who tend to their own business, take care of their families, obey the law, And in the world of Hillary Clinton, in the mind, the deluded, delusional mind of Hillary Clinton, we are extremists. Really? We're the extremists. We're cult members, and we need to be deprogrammed. How stupid can you be? How disconnected can you be? Let me tell you who is not MAGA, Hillary, okay? Here's who is not MAGA. Department store looters in broad daylight. That's not MAGA. Antifa rioters. That's not MAGA. BLM protesters. That's not MAGA. Democrats who call for the elimination of the police. That's not MAGA. Okay? Those who would push a sexualized alternative deviant agenda on kindergartners, that's not MAGA. Cross-dressing freaks who want to read sexually charged material to small children in public libraries, that's not MAGA. And all of your buddies who joined you in the hot tub on Epstein Island, that's not MAGA either. Now you tell me who the extremists are, Hillary. You tell me who the cult members are, Hillary. You tell me who needs to be deprogrammed, Hillary. It ain't MAGA, sister. This woman is... Oh man, I had just a list of Hillary scandals. Can I go over it real quick? This is a list of Hillary scandals. That's a small list too, and I can't go into detail. But I had written this down. Hillary Clinton, Whitewater, 1992. Vince Foster. This is Clinton scandals, folks. Paula Jones, Juanita Broderick, Monica Lewinsky, Jennifer Flowers. Filegate in 1996, hundreds of FBI files of Republicans in Congress found on the Clinton White House staff. Benghazi 2022, American State Department officials left to be murdered by real extremists in our embassy compound in Benghazi, begging for help. Chris Stevens and 3 others killed by Muslims. Hillary Clinton did nothing for them. The Clinton Foundation, the conflicts of interest, the quid pro quo, the donations given to the Clintons by other nations while she was Secretary of State, accepting donations from foreign governments who were buying her influence. Remember the Hillary Clinton private email server. This was a violation of the Federal Records Act. She had a private email server in her private residence while she was Secretary of State, doing the nation's business on her private email server. And of course we get to Russiagate and Filegate and Putin, the evil Putin, who interfered in the 2016 election, in the 2020, well, not the 2020 election because Biden won, so that was okay there. But Hillary lost in 2020, and it was all Putin's fault. It was the Russiagate. Remember the dossier? It has all been proven. It was looked into by Devin Nunes. It was looked into by, what's the guy's name with the FBI? 3 different investigations. Durham and Mueller. 3 different investigations. It all turned out to be a hoax, and it was perpetrated by none other than Hillary Rodham Clinton. You tell me, Hillary, where are the extremists? You're the extremist, sister. You and your ilk. Anybody that would vote for you, there are your extremists, Hillary Clinton. It ain't the MAGA people who are the extremists. They're the normal people who are just trying to get by in this life in spite of the surveillance state that have their guns pointed at us. Oh, I had a lot to get out of my system today. I'm glad you bore with me. Folks, do me a favor. Please give me a thumbs up on this video down below if you would be so kind to do that. I would appreciate it. If you have not yet subscribed to the Trailer Trash Tim channel, as long as you are not an illegal alien, you are a real lawful resident of your nation, and as long as you do not wear a face mask over your mouth every day, golly Moses, you are more than welcome to subscribe to the Trailer Trash Tim channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. Put your comments down below. Give me your thoughts on what I said today. I would love to hear what you have to say. I do try, and I read every comment as best as I can. I think I do read them all. I give you a little heart if I see your comment. I just don't have the time to comment on every one of them. I try and get to them, though, to comment as much as I can. But I do read them, so I'm interested to hear what you have to say. Thank you for joining me, everybody. I really appreciate it. Go out there and have a I was trying to combine tremendous and fantastic, and I came up with trans. Don't have a trans Monday. Have a fantastic Monday, and I will see you all tomorrow. This is Trailer Trash Tim. Bye-bye for today.